Now I'd like to introduce Marlene Hale, who will talk about saving the Wet'suwet'en Nation and old growth forests. Marlene has been an environmental activist, an Indigenous activist for several years, and she's also a proficient chef and beater. As you saw, she's followed several ceremonies. She's going to talk about the two issues: the pipeline in northern BC and the Fairy Creek old growth forest cutting that's been going on for the last several years. So Marlene, take it away and let us know if you want Margaret to show the PowerPoint too.
Thank you, Gary, for that. And I'm sorry I cut into this a little too soon, but I drummed everyone in. And Kellyanne, thank you for that song that is just so enlightening when you hear really nice words, you know, from afar away from the Aboriginal people of Australia. I'm going to just go right back to where I had started before. We all know that the world knows that since January the 8th of 2019, when the Coastal Gaslink company, CGL, put an injunction onto our 22,000 square kilometers of territory in northern British Columbia of the Wet'suwet'en Nation. Since then, so many things have transpired. It's been a very huge roller coaster for my nation and my people of the Wet'suwet'en. Wet'suwet'en is about 20 miles out of Smithers, which is my where I am from. I was born in Smithers, and 20 miles away. Wet'suwet'en used to be Morristown, but our people 5 years ago took back the name of Wet'suwet'en because they wanted to get rid of everything that Father Morris many years ago had named everything after himself. The Morris River, Morris Lake, Morristown, and so it's now not Morristown anymore, which is in our history books. It's gone back to the same thing as what they want the river to be called, Wet'suwet'en, which is what the Morris River is in Wet'suwet'en. The Wet'suwet'en goes right through our territory, and what the CGL want now to put the pipeline underneath the river. It is just unspeakable of how we feel about that and what we are doing about it. And the more it's created such more conflict between the RCMP, the governments, the three governments, and our hereditary chiefs are just under so much stress these days, trying to have still virtual meetings and non-meetings with with the governments, but within ourselves, to keep our territory in sync together. We're such a divide, and that's led to with me not being home for almost 2 years now. Going back to September of this year, when they decided they wanted to put the river under, well, you'll just see on the PowerPoint presentation here, is showing you right where the pipeline wants to go, starting all the way from Dawson Creek. Houston, BC is where you start to drive up to the territory of the Wet'suwet'en territory, and Giddimdan Camp is shown right in the yellow little square. You can just put that, go up, please, in the next. And so as many, for the picture here is shown where we've got so many people in solidarity with us, and right now the Mohawk Nation has really expressed a lot of concern and help with us. They have physically been there and physically arrested along with our people. The next one. And so this is the story that went up going back in December of 2019 when the actual RCMP went in. And this was the most hurtful scene to see, because on our side is only 14 people. On the other side, 120 RCMP. That was just amazing. I remember getting that first phone call from my sister in Smithers, BC, when she called me, and Let's go back to January the 7th of 2019, and she was in tears, and she was saying, please get the word out to the world. We are being invaded, and I'm afraid because there's a lot of elders up there and children right now, and they removed them. And who were left were the ones, Molly Wickham, called Slato, were left. And let's go on to the next slide. The next, please. And so when this all happened, you know, when we were dealing with all of this through the whole year of, this is shown from December the 2019, and going into this year, back in September, where they once went in again, where they were evicted by Molly Wickham, and they also they established what you see here. This is the old forest growth, so we'll just stop right there. And when they established a camp called Coyote Camp, and in November of this year, the RCMP again enforced an injunction once more and arrested 30 people violently this year, along with journalist and filmmaker. And that caused a real ruckus right across the land amongst the media. And a month ago, CGL reported that there was assailants and wielding axes and threatening all the workers of CGL, and they had done millions of dollars of damage to the big equipment we saw, and the big trucks turned over. And at that time, there was just no way anyone in the Wet'suwet'en would be involved. The hereditary chiefs were in Prince George at a very important meeting with most of our people, and the Molly Wickham and everybody at the camps were just on their way back because they had been in court that week. And so this has been a very suspicious event, and also the police themselves are accused of just staging this themselves along with CGL. And since then, we've not really heard too much of it, and that goes to show how things are happening there. And in the meantime, there's been, they have been trying to contain many spills that they've done from fuel lines that were severed. And our hereditary chief, Was, he had put out a press release from the hereditary chiefs, and in that press release, they had just mentioned that they were not going to tolerate all this destruction and everything that was going on the Wet'suwet'en territory. And they really didn't have any comment because they were, I think the RCMP were just waiting for them to put their press release out so they could retort to that, but they were not given to that quickly over from our hereditary chief, Was. May 2020, 2 diesel spills over 500 liters were tried to cover up by tarps. August, 2 other separate spills plus food waste was discovered. Now sediment in where the province came in with the environmental act, they went in November, and the company said that they were not complied with the assessment certificate, and were fined $72,000, which I feel is just nothing for them. $72,000 really doesn't even say, or you know, of all the destruction. They haven't even gotten near. Never mind just of sediment going into the river at Kitimat, which when the spill goes there, they're always been trying to clean up from when they had the Alcan there. So it's just a real big disaster waiting to happen in our territory. We can just feel that coming ahead of us. And after the press release, we are still working heavily with the matriarchs of my nation. The matriarchs are all the women who have formed, along with my 2 sisters who are elders. They have formed a group called the Zakose Wet'suwet'en, and they are meeting almost every week to help along with the water, the land, they're working tirelessly with my nieces and nephews, just helping out the hereditary chiefs on many issues that are pushing over us on, it's time constraints, and also with them being up the out in the remote is very hard for them to get many things done for internet and all that. So in the town of Smithers, they are working tirelessly along with the hereditary chief's office. And so right now, I just spoke with, I have my weekly webinar, and I had in Montreal here, the students at McGill are holding for the next 2 weeks. The office of the arts building in McGill, for McGill to divest over $47 million in their student endowments into CGL and through RBC, and so they are working heavily on that. And this is basically our last big fight that we have to stop this. Last year, when I tried once again, because of the pandemic, to go home, it was never possible for me to go home because of the COVID, and it had reached its horrible height where I'm going home this year hopefully in April. Now that things are getting a little bit more at ease, and I'm going home to almost 45 less people in my nation. It's not just because they have passed on because of the pandemic. We've lost many elders, people. It's been very hard on our people, what has been going on since 2019. So therefore, I ended up in Victoria because Vancouver was not doing so well. It got shut down, but Victoria seemed to be doing a lot better. Plus, I got work there. While I was there, I was introduced to, I didn't realize that the house that I was living in, she was also very heavily involved in the students' legislation when they closed down the legislature in 2020 in Victoria. So I got to meet them. I had a lot of them on my webinar. And through that, I got introduced to Fairy Creek of the old growth forest. And Fairy Creek is, it's in the Apache territory, and I got to meet this wonderful, wonderful 82-year-old man named Elder Bill Jones. If you could just show more pictures. And this is where the old forest growth is, where 2% of it is only left, and the rest of it by Teal Jones company. It's a logging company, and they've only you drive from Port Renfrew all the way up to Fairy Creek. From Port Renfrew, it's about an hour-and-a-half drive up all these logging roads. I spent 6 months here and got to meet Elder Bill Jones, and all the frontline workers were just kids, elders. I just could not be the amount of elders that were involved in this. You could change a picture. And here is one of the old, the red cedar, which was cut down. These trees, as we know, are over 2,000 years old. In our lifetime, will never come back. There is only 5 trees of it left. Literally 5 trees, and they call them the grandfather tree. They've named them, and they don't know of the demise yet of the grandfather tree had it been taken down. Can you imagine this tree would only gain maybe about $80,000? That's it. And all the forest fires and the flooding doesn't seem to hinder these companies for going in and just tearing these down. When you drive, if you're going to change the picture, when you see all of these this destruction, where the Teal Jones has been in, it's just amazing. It's just mind-boggling. I've gone way up to see majority of it. the day that I went up there and I was introduced to all of this, there was over 100 senior citizens went up, and it's the seniors there in Victoria. Really, there's what they call the Ancient Forest Alliance. They have formed as a group, and they're the elders for the old forest growth, and they've done so much work there. And Horgan, of course, is just nowhere to be seen, will not come out, and it's just another thing where government is protecting industry. Is very well evident in this. You change the picture, please. And when all of this transpired, we go back to the RCMP. Just go back one picture. No, the RCMP. And when the RCMP came in, that's right, they're taking the protesters there. This is where we had contacted the human rights and that got involved in this. That this ended up being one of the biggest civil disobedience in Canada ever. I was there to witness along with the elders and the media. Again, the media were violently arrested along with the protesters, and the protesters were going from 100 to 200 a day. People coming from all over the world, pretty much, to come in and do their. When you see the bus in the back, this is where most of the protesters were trying to blockade the road for the RCMP not to come in. There was the two big issues with the RCMP here, where they had a thin blue line across their badge, and so it wouldn't show who they were. It didn't identify them at all. And you could change the picture. And when you see, this is what the one slice of one of the old growths where they had the students they had taken this and to blockade one of the roads going across for them to come in. They also were called tree sitters, and you could change the picture, please. And this is where they're showing where the Teal Jones had dug a huge trench so that the protesters could not go further. And here it's showing 100 people with their hands digging the dirt and filling it in. And the RCMP and Teal Jones, they had stolen 2 cars and a big bus. Change the picture, please. When they fixed the road, this is Elder Bill Jones. He is of the Pachidat territory, and what he is talking to right now is we have a sacred circle. The sacred circle was one thing that when we held that for many reasons for the protesters. They really needed our support. They were going through vicious arrest, and he was there every day speaking. We tried to hold these circles because that's one thing that the RCMP could not go into was a sacred circle, and that would just cause a lot more conflict worldwide amongst the Indigenous people. Unfortunately, we couldn't get a lot of people there because of the pandemic, and it was here, it was in the out, and people were told to mask and stuff like this. They once they left this, they went to the smaller camps that they were to mask up. Okay, change the picture. And here I am with Elder Bill Jones. We were actually speaking to the protesters who were going to go through where it shows the orange gate, and about that many protesters. This was on August the 9th, and this was the police line, and this is when the biggest civil disobedience came, when the RCMP had pepper sprayed everybody. It was one of the most horrific scenes I had ever witnessed. The coat that I was wearing was just, doused with pepper spray just from holding on to the kids, and it just got onto my clothes and my coat and whatnot. And change the picture, please. And this is what you call a tree sitter. So these protesters were ingenious and to sitting up here, putting up these. You can see it's all trolley, and they've got buckets. That's where they use the washroom. It's where their food is brought up and down. And the longest one, he was up there for 2 weeks. And when he was up there, this was one of the most horrific scenes when he was removed here by a helicopter. And he was talking about his experience, and he thought he was going to die. He could see that blade getting so close to them. When they were extracting them from trees, and they used no sense of care of taking them down because of their safety. They just did it viciously. At one point, one protester was dropped 20 feet on his head by the RCMP when they had extracted him. Next picture, please. And so when you see the aerial view on the old froth and the deferrals that they have on the island, you can see where the clear cutting is, and there's literally, what we're fighting for is literally 2% left of the old forest growth. That is really nothing, but they're there to take absolutely every tree that they can down. Next picture, please. And so this is really what is causing the big rough on Vancouver Island. And as you see, that the convoys have been very threatening, and the convoy comes once a week, and they pretty much threaten all the protesters who are sharing the legislature area, and they're nasty people on the convoy, and they don't care if you're an elder, a senior or not. They will just do what they can, say what they want, and it's not very pretty. Next picture, please. And when we had on my webinars, I did 6 weeks of the old forest growth, and from there we have the conservationists, botanists, all scientists, elders, chiefs, and many people that were there to fight. And the spotted owl population was one of the biggest things, along with lichen that you find on the trees, all the life. They had found that there's over 250 new types of insects in this old forest growth. And the murrelet and all of the other animals, the deer population, everything has got no home left. This had no effect on. At one point in time, the RCMP wouldn't allow the scientists in anymore, along with David Suzuki, many other scientists and conservationists, Vicky Husband, who I worked along with a lot, and Elder Bill Jones. She's got the Order of Canada, and she's been working over for the old forest growth for over 40 years, trying to save this. And the population of the animals at risk and also of extinction is very high in the old forest growth that rely on it, plus the food source and also all of the medicines that come from this forest. Next picture, please. And this is, as you see, if you ever buy the book, Mother to What, this is Suzanne Simard, and she'd been up there. She's at UBC, and she was been there many times, speaking about the crucial fight in climate change and where it is affected by losing all these trees. It is horrendous. We do lose them all. We need them just like it's. I always talk that it's BC is Brazil. We need the forest. And I am from BC, and I see that even CGL doesn't even care how many trees they knock down just to get a highway in there. Next picture, please. And so when you're visiting the old forest growth, this is what you see. Look at the lichen on a tree, which is where it's lighter. It's like a light moss, and all the medicine around these cedar trees that we gather a lot of, and it's a lot of mushrooms up there, lot of everything that we are losing. Next picture, please. And the spirit bear really, it would usually see it up in the northern BC, but in the Nass area where the spirit bear really holds high to us really means the bears that he eats and the salal that everything else that grows on Vancouver Island is getting diminished, and it's also in jeopardy already because of the climate change. Next picture, please. And so I think that was it for some of the pictures. And then I did send some pictures from the Gary that I sent you last night. We're just showing the people that themselves that were fighting, all the protesters, the elders. The day that the elders went up was the first day I walked up there. Can you imagine a big mountain? And over 100 elders were up there, and I spoke, drummed, and the men, the organizers were asking some of them, so how old are you? She said, well, I'm 64. And another one would say, no, I'm 72. Well, I'm 84. Well, okay, I'm 92. That was the oldest. And,
do you want me to show the movie?
Yeah, you show the video, please.
Okay, hang on. If my computer crashes in the middle,
that's okay. I'll just keep talking till the you have that on. And it was the elders. You can imagine the looks on the faces of the RCMP that when they saw these elders. So this is Extinction Rebellion. They're playing. This is where we had
recently
a pipe ceremony from.
Hold a pipe ceremony at Fairy Creek, but the event almost ended before it could begin.
They're saying I can't go in.
The RCMP refused to let a woman named Raven and another forest protector attend. Both have been arrested at the blockades to try to save Fairy Creek's ancient forests. Neither has been convicted. Pachi Elder Bill Jones asked an officer to let the pair join in the prayer ceremony.
If you join us, you will be our friend.
Are you able to copy this?
We are joining you, Bill.
Then you let my friend be with us, our friend.
You can't let Raven in? Then the Grand Elder spoke up.
You know, in the town ceremony,
Just see what their ETA is there.
there should always be that
They
peace.
can start calling on back to the
And let's let our differences aside and ceremony together. We're even inviting all of you to join us in our ceremony if you want. You are more than welcome. This is a time of not having to have any kind of issues with anybody. This is a time to bring us together, to pray together for peace for everybody, like it was always supposed to be.
Yes.
There's a time for prayer, there's a time for everything.
Yes.
There's a time to protest, there's a time to cry, there's a time to laugh, there's a time for peace, there's a time for prayer. Right now is a time for prayer. And we're just asking you, the heart that I know you have, to let us and everybody here, assembled here, to have that time to pray. I know we may have all these differences, but we should just give it a rest for now and let us gather together and pray for one another, for ourselves, for our families, for everybody. Everybody's hurting. That's all we're asking. We're not asking for much, just that little time, so she can come and join with us in prayer.
Okay, Raven's not coming in. Okay. She's been arrested before. She's not allowed.
Minutes of fruitless negotiation followed.
So that's what's going to happen, sir, and any more talking is not going to change the fact.
The officer noted repeatedly that the two blockaders had been arrested.
Your self-righteousness overlooks the violence of your fellow officers in molesting and humiliating and assaulting my friends. And you can also deny all that and give us an excuse that we've arrested her before. On what charge? On what
court on what conviction is
Not
she
the one that
charged.
arrested her, sir, so I don't know.
So therefore you are saying you are the judge and jury.
Moments later, Wet'suwet'en matriarch Marlene Hales stepped forward.
Can I just be responsible for Raven for the time that I'm up there and bring her back to you knowing that she's going to behave herself? She's with a matriarch of the Wet'suwet'en Nation. Could you just allow that? I promise I will just make sure that if there's 3 people you do not want up, I will make sure that I can be held responsible for those 3 people.
And what happens if they...
I will bring them right back down. They won't be a problem. They are respectful to matriarchs. They will not do that to me, especially. Please let me be responsible for the ones that you do not want up, and I will make sure that they're by my side the whole time and bring them back down.
Well, that's very gracious of you.
Could you allow that?
But I don't
It
think
would
that
be
you
even
actually
more
are able
gracious
to...
if you
Sir, you're
permit-
interrupting me constantly, and I'm talking to this lady here, okay? So, I think that's a gracious offer, but I don't think you really know them.
I brought a grand elder who came a long ways from Manitoba for today's special ceremony. And it is the talk and the time that I take with these kids that really need all ears have to be there. And then when I am there, it's very a respectable time that they would behave themselves. They know that. I've been up here before, and that has been that case. And so if I could be responsible for them and bring them back to you, trust me, they are going to behave.
So you're basically telling me that if Raven and Dominic and anyone else that's been arrested before isn't there, that your ceremony is not going to be able to...
It will in a sense, because it really includes all people who are involved in this movement. And they are behaved when I'm present. And they show me that respect, because that's what I ride high.
How do you feel when they behave the way they do when you're
That's
not
what
around?
I'm here for today, to have that talk with them and letting them know what respect is. And territorial traditions are because we're Indigenous. And if they're non-Indigenous, then they will understand and learn and know what the laws of our traditions are. And to be alongside with Elder Bill Jones and not to take things and tools on their own, if you know what I mean, right? Without that in peril. And so that's what today's thing is all about. There's been a few of us have come a long ways just for today. If you could allow me that, I would be up and give me a time and I'll come back with the kids beside me in front of you. And they will be beside me the whole time I'm up there.
You give me your word?
I'm giving you my word. I really appreciate
And
if
are
you...
you going to abide by that?
She will abide by that. Raven, hello.
Yeah,
Yeah, you got a voice, use it.
We should see what she does when you're not here.
No, but you are, right?
yeah.
Thank you.
Against my better judgment, I will allow it if you're going
She's
to
going to
take
come up in the car
responsibility.
with me because I'm driving up. I've got a bad knee, so I'll make sure she is coming with me.
Thank you.
I don't think there's enough room in the car for everybody, so she'll have to walk beside the car.
Okay, she'll walk beside the car.
There's not enough room.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. I wanted the traditional leaders from this island, the hereditary chief, and I want to thank you for allowing me.
The elder from Manitoba that's doing the pipe ceremony.
Pardon me?
I'm the elder from Manitoba that's going to be doing the ceremony. Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
An RCMP officer took video of everyone who walked to the pipe ceremony. Other officers lined the path of the participants. The assembled chanted as they walked. Getting there was harder for some than others. Indigenous Chief Sonny Wallace, Elder Bill Jones, and Grand Elder Raymond Robinson led the march. The procession turned into what appeared to be a cathedral of towering trees. Grand Elder Robinson prepared for the pipe ceremony. Volunteers set up a table for beverages, soup, and the indigenous round bread known as bannock, which was brought out a little prematurely.
I'm going to be serving this after the ceremony.
Then the Grand Elder was ready and signaled that the cameras had to be turned off. But a day before the event, Grand Elder Robinson talked to XRTV Victoria about the sacred pipe ceremony.
The pipe itself.
So we can cut the video off now?
Natural loss. Because if you look at the
So this just gave you an idea up at Fairy Creek exactly what transpires up there between the elders, the old forest growth, and the RCMP, the life that is up there to save all these trees. And even today, the spring is starting to come and the loggers are starting to return, along with the, I'm on video, are with them all the time, conversations with them in Victoria. And they are once again starting that over with the kids are returning, people are returning, and we're not giving up the fight the same way as people are in solidarity with the Wet'suwet'en. We are in solidarity with Fairy Creek. And another big, just to sign off on this, I see that you are doing things with the for the Ukraine. And another big campaign that I've got on is doing beading and art for Ukraine. And so starting tomorrow, I will be having a GoFundMe. It's going to be going right across Canada. And it will be in 3 cities, in Montreal, Vancouver, and Victoria. And so people are beading and they're putting their art, and the art is the flower of the sunflower of the Ukraine in the flag colors in blue and yellow. And so we will be displaying all these art and the beadwork and everything else in galleries across the country, and that will stipulate and add more. We've got the organization that is doing the GoFundMe with me. They are taking care of that part. And I was speaking 2 weeks ago when the Ukrainians were of Montreal were downtown in one of the Do Canada Park. And I accidentally walked on the wrong stage. I thought it was a stage I was scheduled to speak at 1:45. It ended up being them. And they told me which stage I was supposed to be on. But they said, hey, come back. You can speak after the government and Mayor Valerie Plante is. And it was televised when I had drummed and told Ukraine that the Indigenous people are in solidarity with Ukraine, and this is what we were doing. And we are there for the country, the devastation that is going on there. So we're gaining, hopefully, one of the people that we are going to do the GoFundMe with is where, if you did it with the Red Cross, for example, if we chose that one, the government will match our dollar. And so hopefully we're looking at over $20,000 to start off with, and trying to get this really building high. So I will send you, Gary, you're always on my webinar, so you know the updates on that. And also I really thank you all for listening very much. And I will hopefully see you all in person again one day. And thanks for having me very much.